Hi, everyone, and welcome to our virtual project information meeting for the Pinellas Trail South Gap development process. I'm Tony Fabrizio with Pinellas County Marketing and Communications, and I'll be your moderator. In a moment, I'll introduce you to Public Works Director Kelly Hammer-Levy to make some opening comments. But first, let me give you a quick overview of how the meeting will go. After you hear from Kelly, our consultant will give a presentation that will explain our planning process for this section of the trail. We'll then introduce our panelists. And at that point, you'll be able to ask questions. Please note that we are going to take questions typed into the Q&A first. You can type in a question at any time, but we won't begin answering them until after the presentation. Once all of the typed questions have been asked, we'll recognize anyone who has called in by phone. Then, for as long as time permits, we'll recognize those of you who have clicked on the raised hand button in Zoom. If there are any questions that we don't get to or can't answer tonight, we'll answer those in the FAQ section on the project website in the coming days. For anyone who is new to Zoom, you can find the Q&A and raised hand buttons by moving your cursor to the bottom of the screen to bring up a toolbar. And on some mobile devices, the toolbar might be at the top of the screen. This meeting is being recorded and will be made available for viewing in the next few days on the project website. The project website is the same location where you went to register, pinellascounty.org/southgap. At this time, please welcome Pinellas County Public Works Director Kelly Hammer-Levy for opening comments.
Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us. The Pinellas Trail is celebrating its 30-year anniversary. The first 5 miles of the trail opened in 1990 in the Largo Seminole area. Today, the trail cuts a semicircle from Northeast St. Pete to downtown St. Pete, to Tarpon Springs, and beyond to Chestnut Park in Palm Harbor. There are also connections to the Hillsborough and Pasco County trail networks, the Florida Coast to Coast Trail, and Gulfport, as well as the Skyway Trail. In areas where the trail is established, it is extremely popular. Go out on any weekend or weeknight, and you'll see families using the trail for recreation, fitness, getting to and from our cities, parks, local businesses, and other amenities. We are currently in the process of bringing the trail to the east side of the county, and when complete, the Pinellas Trail will provide a continuous 75-mile multi-use path encircling Pinellas County. Just as much of the west side of the trail was built along an abandoned railroad corridor, much of the east side will also be built along the Duke Energy corridor. This allows us to provide a substantial buffer between homes along much of the trail. There are 2 major sections that need to be built to complete the loop. The North Gap is under construction, and the South Gap is under development. The South Gap is why we are here tonight. We are going to share our progress with you and discuss alignment decisions that we need your input on. After this meeting, you'll have the opportunity to complete an online survey posted to the project webpage. You'll be able to indicate your trail alignment preferences and offer any other suggestions you may have. We'll then update the Board of County Commissioners on what we have learned and the next steps in the engagement and design process. And with that, I'll turn the mic back over to Tony. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Kelly. We're now going to move on to our formal presentation. And for that part of the program, I'll turn it over to Matt Fabrizio of Cumbie and Fair. Hi, Matt.
Good evening, everyone. This is the Pinellas Trail South Gap Trail Alignment, and this is the project information meeting. It also provides regional connection to Hillsborough and Pasco County trail networks. It will be a part of the Florida Coast to Coast Connector, which will be a 250-mile multi-use trail that will go across the state when completed. The South Gap Trail was broken into two phases. Phase 1 is in red, and it's over here on the map. And then phase 2, segment 1, segment 2, and segment 3 are in blue, pink, and green. And this will be 4 miles of new trail that is proposed to be constructed. Ulmerton Road from 58th Street North to 56th Court North is a segment in an underpass at Ulmerton Road of the trail that has been already completed with help from DOT when they were doing the Ulmerton Road improvements. So where we are right now, we have obtained some funding assistance from FDOT. Today we're presenting the alternative alignments. We have funding for design in fiscal year 21-22. Construction is scheduled for fiscal year 23-24. Phase 1 is from 126th Avenue North to Ulmerton Road. The trail utilizes Duke Energy easements, county and FDOT right-of-way. No additional right-of-way is needed. It's approximately 0.82 miles of new trail. Phase 2, segment 1 is from Ulmerton Road to 142nd Avenue North. The trail utilizes Duke Energy easement and county right-of-way. There are 2 alternative alignments that we studied in this area, and the trail is 0.92 miles of new trail. Alignment 1A is in blue, and it goes along the north side of Ulmerton Road, Icott Boulevard, and then follows the Duke Energy easement. Alignment 1B goes along Ulmerton Road, Icott Boulevard to 142nd Avenue, and then travels down 142nd Avenue. Alignment 1A runs along the north side of Ulmerton Road to the east side of Icott Boulevard. We have an acquired easement, and then we follow the Duke Energy property. What we can do to make alignment 1A work, well, we can have the trail run along Icott Boulevard and the Duke Energy property, and we can provide distance or buffers between the residents and trails. And also, are there any other suggestions, in the survey? Please complete those. If there's some other suggestions to making this alignment work, we'd appreciate that, your feedback. The proposed benefits of alignment 1A, it's the shortest and least impacted route connection. The county has acquired easements needed to accommodate the trail and alignments. We utilize the Duke Energy easement. There's no vehicular traffic. It's increased safety. It's more of a scenic route. There are fewer open green, we use the existing open green spaces, and there's better visibility for trail users and fewer impacts to utilities. Alignment 1B goes along Ulmerton Road to the east side of Icott Boulevard, then the north side of 142nd Avenue. Some of the concerns expressed was vehicular traffic at 142nd Avenue and Icott Boulevard. There's a number of driveways and road crossings. There's some safety concerns, reduced in utility relocations in this section. What we can do to make alignment 1B work, some of the things we could look at is the typical, maybe changing the curb type to a raised curb and adding railing to the backside to accommodate trail users. We can reduce the footprint of the trail to 8 feet in these locations. We could look at drainage improvements, undergrounding some of the utilities, maybe acquire some additional right-of-way. Right now, some of those costs may not be feasible, but that's something that we could look at. And if anybody has any other suggestions. The proposed benefits of alignment 1B is the trail will serve as a wider sidewalk for 142nd Avenue and Icott Boulevard. Here is our alignment comparison matrix that we came up with. And I just wanted to kind of point out a few things. The total crashes for 5 years, we studied that along the corridor, and you can see the amount of crashes, comparing alignment 1A to 1B, 8 to 19. Number of street and driveway crossings, comparing alignment 1A to alignment 1B. Also, utility impacts was something that, you can see it, alignment 1A has low, and alignment 1B is higher. The other thing we did is looked at a relative cost for each alternative, and you can see that at the bottom. Phase 2, segment 2 is from 142nd Avenue North to Whitney Road. The trail will utilize the Duke Energy easement. county and FDOT right-of-way. No additional right-of-way is needed for this section. It's approximately 1.5 miles of new trail. There are two existing signals, one at 150th Avenue and one at Roosevelt Boulevard. And we'll be accommodating the Pinellas Trail along those signalized intersections. One of the things that we'll do is we'll upgrade the pedestrian signals. We'll have the trail markings, a wider path to accommodate those trail users. Phase 2, segment 3 is from Whitney Road to Haynes Bayshore Road. There was 4 different alignments that we studied in this location. Alignment 3A goes along the Duke Energy property from Whitney Road to Haynes Bayshore Road. Alignment 3B goes along the Duke Energy property and west side of Cardinal Drive. Alignment 3C goes along the south side of Whitney Road and the east side of US 19. Alignment 3D goes along the south side of Whitney Road, the east side of Wolford Road, and the south side of Haynes Bayshore Road. Alignment 3A goes along the Duke Energy property. There are 2 private easements needed within the Duke Energy properties. Some of the concerns that was expressed is there's some wetland impacts that'll be associated with this. What we can do to make alignment 3A work, we can look at some green spaces between the residents and the trails. We can minimize those wetland impacts. If there's any other suggestions for this alternative. The proposed benefits of alignment 3A, it's the shortest and least impacted route connection. It utilizes mainly the Duke Energy easement. There's no vehicular traffic. It's a safer route. It's a scenic route, uses the open green spaces. There's fewer stops and disruptions to trail users. There's better visibility for trail users. It accommodates the full trail width and horizontal trail clearances. There's no crashes along this route. Alignment 3B goes along the Duke Energy easement. There'll be 1 private easement that we'll need with Duke Energy within the Duke Energy property, and then it travels down the west side of Cardinal Drive. Some of the concerns expressed was several residents' driveways will be impacted along Cardinal Drive. There's some environmental and drainage impacts. There's some impacts to trees. Privacy loss because of the trail being closer to the homes. And it's not preferred by the residents along Cardinal Drive with our initial feedback. What we can do to make Cardinal Drive or alignment 3B work, we can replace some of the intrusive vegetation with more desirable native plants. We can look at some drainage improvements for Cardinal Drive, if you have any other suggestions. The proposed benefits of alignment 3B, it utilizes much of the Duke Energy easement. It uses existing open green spaces along the Duke Energy utility corridor. It accommodates the full trail width along other than the Cardinal Drive section. There's fewer stops and disruptions to trail users. And in here as well, there was no reported crashes along the route. Alignment 3C goes the south side of Whitney Road to the east side of US 19. Some of the concerns expressed with this alternative was the vehicle speeds and traffic volumes from US 19. There's a number of commercial driveways and roadway crossings, a reduced trail width to a minimum of 8 feet, major utility impacts, additional right-of-way needed along US 19, possible business damages from the additional right-of-way needed. What we can do to make alignment 3C work, we could look at placing the trail at the back of right-of-way as much as possible. We can minimize the trail width to 8 feet, underground some of the utilities, and if there's any other suggestions for this alternative. The proposed benefits of alignment 3C is the trail would serve as a wider sidewalk along US 19 in Whitney Road. Alignment 3D, is the south side of Whitney Road to the east side of Woolifer Road, then the south side of Haynes Bayshore Road. Some of the concerns expressed was the vehicle speed and traffic volumes. It's the longest route. There's a number of driveway and roadway crossings, drainage impacts, trees and surface water impacts, privacy loss and trail alignment because of the close proximity to homes. What we can do to make alignment 3D work, we can look at narrowing to 8-foot trail widths for the majority of the route. We can pipe some of the ditches. We can create some floodplain compensation areas. We can look at crosswalk implementations at intersections. And also if there's any other suggestions for this route. The proposed benefits of alignment 3D is the trail would serve as a wider sidewalk along this route. This is our alignment comparison matrix. One of the things just to note is we can look at the length of route. Alignment 3A, which is the shortest, 0.58 miles, comparing to alignment 3D, which is the longest at 1.51 miles. Total crashes within the 5-year period that we looked at. Alignment 3C, there was 12, and alignment 3D, there was 10. The street driveway crossings, along US 19, there'll be 21 driveways that will be crossed. Alignment 3D will have 18. The other thing I wanted to kind of point out too is the utility impacts. 3A and 3B would be low, 3C and 3D would be high to medium. And again, at the bottom, we did look at a cost relative to each of the alternatives. So the evaluation process of the alignments, today we discussed the roadway crossings. We have already reviewed the trail alignments with Duke Energy. We have talked to some of the stakeholders out there, and tonight we want to review with the public. We do have a frequently asked question section in the website. Please, review those and see if some of the questions that you may have been answered. And that's going to be a continuous, ever evolving document. We'll have a lot of the questions and answers there, just to questions that you may not have the answer to. What brings us here tonight? Your feedback to us is very important. Please complete our online survey. The ongoing public involvement is essential to the success of this project. The public will continually be updated throughout the decision-making process. Our next steps is we'll summarize the comments that we receive. We'll update the website with the most up-to-date information. We'll finalize the concept alternatives. In June, we'll present the survey results to the Pinellas County Board of County Commissioners. In summer of 21, we'll engage the public again to present the final concepts and alternatives. And with that, thank you for spending the evening with us and going through the presentation for the trail. Tony?
Thanks, Matt. And you can leave your camera on. I'll now introduce the other.
The trail. Tony?
Thanks, Matt. And you can leave your camera on. I'll now introduce the other members of our team who are going to be available to answer your questions. First, from Pinellas County Public Works, Project Manager Casey Leb. Hi, Casey. You may need to unmute, Casey.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me now, Tony?
Yes.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the South Gap Trail Alignment Meeting. We have a panel of engineers and discipline leaders who will answer your questions in the Q&A session later. We certainly appreciate the participation and feedback. Your feedback will be considered before we make a recommendation. Back to you, Tony.
Thanks, Casey. And please meet our new Public Works Transportation Division Director, Tom Washburn. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Tony. How are you doing tonight? And good evening, everybody, and just want to echo the appreciation that you're taking your time tonight to join us and learn more about this project. And we're looking forward to answering your questions and receiving your feedback.
Thanks, Tom. The Q&A portion of our meeting will be moderated by Joan Rice, a multimodal safety engineer with our transportation division. Joan will direct your questions to the most appropriate panelist. Joan, I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Thank you, Tony. Hello, everybody. As Tony mentioned earlier, we're going to take first the questions typed into the Q&A. Just click on the Q&A button on your toolbar and type in your question. After we go through all of the typed questions, we'll take questions from anyone who is called in by phone and wants to ask a question. If you've called in by phone and you want to speak, press *9 on your keypad to be placed in a queue. So here's our first question. I'm interested in how the trail will cross Tampa Road. Turns out that Tampa Road is part of a different trail project. It's called the North Gap project. And very similar to how you got to this website, that website is pinellascounty.org/northloop. So you can find out about the crossing of Tampa Road on there. Going on to the next question. When is the Phase 2, Section 3 alignment decision scheduled to be made? Casey, will you answer this question?
Well, we have a grant from DOT that says construction should begin somewhere in year 2022. So the decision probably has to be made very soon so we can get on with design. Design will probably take a year and a half. So the answer is right now, as soon as we can, so that we can meet our schedule.
Thank you, Casey. Next question. Every time I've used Duke Energy Trail from Bel Air to Gulf to Bay, I see dozens of homeless encampments that consist of cardboard boxes laid out in the grass, shopping carts, and clothing along the trail. Do you have any plans to prevent that from happening in this new section of the trail that will be behind our houses on segments 3A and 3B? If not, I feel it needs to go along 3C or 3D, where more people and law enforcement can better observe the trail. Casey?
Well, bear in mind that we're talking about mostly the trail is closed at night, and we are talking about a wider sidewalk in the middle, in an open area. We have not seen that. We have been monitoring the trail, and there has not been, congregation or gathering in the trails. Most people would want to go, gather or rest in some areas where there are developments, there are some shelter, but these are out in the open. Plus, the trail is closed at night, so it's complete darkness. There's no lighting or anything like that. So in some areas, so.
Hey, Tom, if I could just jump in here. I'd also mention that the trail is maintained by our Parks Department. We do have park rangers that are assigned to the trail that spend their days going up and down the trail and monitoring these type of activities and then reporting those back to the authorities that can help us deal with that.
Thank you, Tom. What buffers are between the housing and the trail? What do they look like? Matt, do you have any buffers?
Yeah, so some of the buffers is a distance. The trail won't be right in the backyard. It'll be a little further. We have some room in the easement. We do have to stay away from the towers as part of the agreement for the towers, but we're going to try to get it move them away further up. We'll look at some other things if we can do some landscaping and trees. But we have to still follow because we're in the Duke Energy easement, so there are some limitations to what we can do.
Okay. Thank you, Matt. Next question, are bicycles allowed on the trail with dog walkers? Casey?
Yes, the trail is open to mostly all non-motorized vehicles, so bicycle is definitely allowed.
Okay.
And dog walkers.
Thank you. Alignment 3A and 3B are very unpopular with the residents of Dodge Circle and Levine Lane. What would be done for their privacy? This kind of goes back to the same question that Matt just answered. Matt, do you want to follow up?
Yeah, this is part of the, I think all these are good questions, and we want to look at it and we want to see what we can do. Can we shift the alignment in some of these locations? Can we do some buffering? And because we want to make sure that the residents do feel that they have some privacy.
Okay. Thank you. Next question. Pasco County has 2 reports that I'm aware of from bicyclists getting small electric shocks while riding under the power lines on the Starkey Gap Trail. These were near the Robert Trent Jones Parkway crossing and the State Road 54 crossing. We have looked into minimizing the possibility of similar instances as we build new trail along the Pinellas power line corridors. Casey.
I have not heard anything like that. Maybe some static electric, shock or something like that, which could be possible. But I have not heard of anything like that, the power line generates, electric magnet strong enough to cause any shocks, from the bicycle. So if you could you got my email, go to the site and send me those reports. I'd like to see it, please. So.
Okay, thank you. And we will send you, I have heard of it, but I will send them to you, Casey. Thank you. Next question is, will there be an overpass at Roosevelt Boulevard? It's 45 miles an hour speed limit. Matt?
I know that I know that there has been some of the stakeholders wants an overpass. Right now, it's not in the budget, the 5-year budget for the county, but that's something that we'll study and see if it makes sense to do, and to add that in. Casey, did you want to add something?
No, that sounds about right.
Okay.
Thank you. If you use 3A, will you put up fencing on both sides of the trail to keep them from coming into the neighborhoods? Matt?
Well, I mean, I think that we'd have to. This is something that we would have to. I don't have an answer to that about fencing. But this is not out of the range of possibilities either. So, but this is something that we'd have to follow up, with the county and see if that's something that we could entertain.
Okay, thank you.
If I could just add real quick. I know on the current North Loop Trail that we've spent a lot of time coordinating with some of the impacted residents with some of the alignments that we've chosen. So as we get to the point where we've chosen the alignments, there will be some coordination, some outreach specifically with the residents that are impacted by the alignment.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm trying to catch up here. Next question. I live along Allendale, and segment 3A and 3B will effectively cut my backyard in half. I purchased this property knowing it was along the easement and would like for it not to be developed. What recourse do I have if I oppose the wetlands being disrupted and foot traffic being directed along my property? Could 3C or 3D be considered more strongly? Casey?
None of the trail will go inside the private property. So just be assured about that. The trail we will put it on the Duke Eastman property, and most of the houses in there already has fences along the Duke Energy property. So we are going to, and from the North Gap project, we have learned, some lessons. We're going to push this thing, although Duke Energy does have some, some guidelines and things like that, but we are going to push the trail away from the fence and the property line. So.
Okay, thank you. Next question is, what is the difference in cost between the Duke line as opposed to using Whitney-Wolford? I believe we had a table in the PowerPoint that had little dollar signs at the bottom, and they were a little bit difficult to see online. So that table is located on the website, on the South Loop website, under development process, and then there's phase 2 in the segments 1, 2, and 3. It shows the little dollar amounts. But Matt, do you have anything more specific you'd like to add for the cost difference between these alignments?
Okay, absolutely. So when we're putting a trail in the easement, we don't have the utilities, we don't have the drainage impacts. Once we go into Williford in like for alignment 3D and in Whitney, we've got to look at piping ditches. We've got to look at filling in wet floodplains. So we had to compensate for that in other locations. And plus that alignment is about 3 times the size of 3A. It's about three times the length. So those are all different costs. And that when you start adding those costs up, it becomes pretty expensive, pretty quick.
Okay.
I also want to add to that. I know that from Matt's presentation earlier, we could not see the matrix. The bottom is cut off, and that's where the relative cost is with each alternative. I asked that the viewer go to the website. The matrix is in the website for phase 2 alternative, segment 1 and segment 3, so you can get a good view of the matrix. The matrix does not only have relative costs. One of the things that we consider very strongly is safety, accidents, along the trail. What kind of vehicles is along the corridor and things like that. Design speed, how fast the vehicles are going, and those are very important information that everybody should take a look at that if we could.
Thank you, Casey. Thank you. Next question. What about the trash currently that currently accumulates? Is that part of the budget comparison? Tom?
I would say it's certainly part of any decision that we make. Obviously with the existing portions of the trail where we've got the trash that accumulates and we're made aware of it. Obviously we have the park rangers and the park staff and other county staff that spend a little bit more time in those particular areas trying to keep it clean. So while it's probably not a specific line item in the budget, it's certainly part of what goes into the decision. We know that if we have the trail out on US 19, for instance, if that's the alternate that's selected, we know that we're going to get a lot of the trash that just gets blown off by the vehicles. And we know that that's going to be a little bit more of a maintenance activity for us. So.
Thank you, Tom. Hello, and thank you for this chance to learn more. Will the trail be lit at night? I'm concerned about crime, but also light pollution. Tom, will you answer that question as well?
Absolutely. I think as we mentioned earlier, the trail is closed at night, and I don't know that we've got any sections of the trail that we currently have lighting for, except as you get up to the intersections. And those intersections, obviously, if it's like at Roosevelt or some of the other signalized intersections, there's lighting that goes along with that. Any of our RRFB locations are lit because those are locations that also get used at night. But in general, the trail itself is not lit.
Okay, thank you. The 3A and 3B sections of phase 3 invade our privacy and would worsen flooding problems we already have. If any of these choices is selected, could you build both a wall to protect our home's privacy and have a drainage reconstruction project? Matt, will you answer this?
Well, one of the things that we definitely would look at would be drainage whenever we do any type of improvements, and see what we can do to better, especially if there's a problem, can we address it? But I mean, again, it's just a trail project, so we'd have to only kind of address a lot of the trail issues, not necessarily too much drainage issues. But we would make things worse, and we would do better. I mean, we would try to fix the problem that's out there. I don't know about a wall. I mean, I think that would have to be something, the decision that the county would have to go through to see if that was something that, that they would want to entertain.
Yes, thank you, Matt. Yes, a wall would be very cost prohibitive. Thank you. Next question. Will there be any effort to deal with the noise if the trail goes along US 19? Tom, will you answer?
Sure. I think we'll make an effort. It all depends on how much room we have. I think, as Matt mentioned during his presentation, there's not going to be a lot of room between the edge of travel and the sidewalk. The sidewalk would be right up against the road. So any buffering opportunities that we have are probably pretty limited.
Okay, thank you. It makes no sense to go down Whitney Wolford with all the construction changes required, plus the access to private homes, liability if there's an accident involving a trail user. How do you close the trail at night? Tom?
Okay, well, regarding the alignment, again, that's one of the alternatives that we're considering. As anybody that lives in that area probably knows, we did just add sidewalk along Haynes Bay Shore, so we do get down to Wolford. We do have an intersection improvement project planned at Whitney and Wolford. And that'll increase the safety at that intersection, and we would be looking to complete sidewalk gaps at some point in the future. Regarding closing the trail at night, we do have signs at each of the intersections. They are regulatory and subject to enforcement, and so if they're made aware of activity at night, or if the office the ability to enforce, take necessary action to remove anybody from the trail.
Thank you. You broke up a little bit in the very end, but we got it.
Sorry.
I am sorry. I apologize ahead of time. I don't know if the street name is Levine or Levine, but none of the current residents that live on Levine Lane that would be impacted by both alignments 3A and 3B have fences on the back of their property. I personally live in one of these homes and received a quote for a new fence that is $30,000 in order to maintain some privacy into our backyards. Has this cost to the residents been considered? And has it been discussed for the ability to have those residents be allowed to construct higher fences than the 6-foot current allowance? All my neighbors are concerned about safety and privacy. Tom, I'm going to ask you to answer this one as well.
Well, regarding the 6 foot, the 6 foot is the height limit that we currently have in the code. We do have provisions in there that will allow a resident to go up to 8 feet to get a little more privacy. So there are provisions that allow that through the permit process. I can't speak to the cost of the fences, but typically those are not items that are included in the cost of the trail where we build it, through the Duke easement or along the CSX corridor.
Thank you. Whitney is prone to high speed. People do not observe the speed limit. How do you propose to maintain safety on these roads? Tom?
Okay, yeah, speeding is an issue countywide, statewide. We're always dealing with complaints about speeding, and we've noticed that with the traffic getting back out there, we're seeing that as well. We've got several ways that we deal with it. We do have the ability to engage with law enforcement and ask for directed patrols where we can document it. We've got counters that measure both volume and speed, and when we get on roads like this, we found it effective at the right location to put in the speed feedback signs. So those are post-mounted signs that look like a speed limit sign. It actually tells the motorists how fast they're going. And I would say for a large percentage of those motorists, when they see something like that and realize that they're speeding, it helps to bring that under control.
Okay. Thank you. The next comment is just a comment, so I'll read it. The residents on Allendale Drive, Cardinal Drive, and Dodge Circle want barriers put up along the trail to keep people from accessing our neighborhoods. By moving away from the towers, you're getting closer to our backyards. And I'd like to remind everybody that we do have a survey, and we would like you to go ahead and add this comment or any of your comments in the survey under the same location where you found this meeting. But we do want to hear what you have to say. The next question is, as you say, the trail is closed at night. Will there be locked fences actually closing off the access for the peace of mind for the residents that have homes that would be impacted by alignments 3A and 3B? Tom?
Sure. Yeah, we haven't actually done that at any of other trail locations. Like I said, we don't light the trail at night, so it's not obvious that it's, there necessarily. But, again, we don't put any gates up across the trail. It is public access, and we don't really have the ability to do that and trap somebody in there potentially.
Thank you. Be aware that Wolford Road and Haynes Bayshore Road, alignment 3D, are very noisy due to heavy traffic. Activity in the trail would add to the problem. How would this be mitigated? Tom?
Okay, yeah, these are the alignments on the residential streets. And again, as we've done on other segments that's currently under construction, where we're getting the trail along residential streets with houses and we get close to those, we've engaged with those citizens directly to come up with ways that might be amenable to them to help provide some kind of a buffer, noise, and visual barrier for them.
Okay, thank you. Where do you propose parking? There's a daycare center on Whitney. This is not a feasible solution. Tom?
Actually, what we find is most of the people access the trail probably from where they live. So, they'll either walk to get to it. We do have some stations where we've got park and rides, I guess, and we can certainly, again, as we choose the alignments, if we've got some vacant property that the county owns, we can certainly set those up to be a parking area. So it would all really be based on what alignments ultimately get chosen.
Okay, thank you. Next one is for Matt. How will the crossing over Roosevelt Boulevard be handled?
So the crossing at Roosevelt Boulevard will be, we'll go ahead and look at we'll be updating the pedestrian signal there. We'll have a wider curb ramp. And they'll also have the trail markings there to allow the trail users to cross. So it'll be a signal controlled crossing at Roosevelt Boulevard.
Thank you. With the trail being dark at night, it would seem that there would be decreased security, especially along 3A and 3B segments. What measures of security can you assure the community at night? Well, the areas are patrolled by various law enforcement depending on which city you're in, so they would have the responsibility for making that area safe. Tom, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say if we know that it becomes a recurring problem, obviously we have the ability to have directed patrols with law enforcement. There are areas where we've tested, placing cameras as, for monitoring, our CCTV cameras. We've looked at that at different locations and posted those. And of course, those come along with the signs that say, under video watch. That's not widespread. It's been tested at a couple locations, but we really haven't seen, once the trail is open and operational, those type of security issues along our easements.
Thank you. Next question's been asked before, but I'll let Matt add anything more he'd like to add. You're going through the wetlands as you're going along the power lines. What are you going to do to take care of the drainage the trail needs? This is about the trail itself.
Okay. One of the things that we'll look at is we don't want standing water on the trail, of course, and we want to be able to be used. So we will look at what we can do to move the storm water so it's not ponding in those locations. That's one of the things that we know that in some of those areas there are some wetlands. The other thing too is some of those wetlands, we do have it. There was some of the delineations. We want to try to stay out of those wetlands. So we're going to try to move the trail. So we're going to try to less impact those wetlands as well. But yeah, once the project gets into design, if that's the alternative that's selected, then we'll kind of have a better plan for how we'll address those issues.
Thank you, Matt. And Matt, I'm not quite sure if you know this because I don't think that our arborist is on the line, but has there been any investigation into the risk of protected species living, well, I guess living in the 3A, 3B region? So not just arborists, but protected species.
Right. So that's one of the things that we would look at if that was the chosen alternative. We would look at that and see what type of species are there, and then we would mitigate with them if it's gopher tortoises or if it's sandhill crane or whatever it would be in those locations. We would have a mitigation plan to address those impacts.
Okay, thank you. And Tom, in June, when the phases are presented to the Board of Commissioners, will they decide which phase is approved?
Yes, the Board of County Commissioners will ultimately decide on which alternatives and which alignments are chosen. But I will say that we realize that this is the first time many people are seeing the alignments that were being considered. This is the first of several opportunities for the public to provide input. And as we start to narrow these down and gather more information, hopefully some of the alternatives, start to rise as being more palatable than others. But yes, to answer the question, ultimately it's the Board of County Commissioners that will make that decision.
Thank you. Thank you. And that's why it's so important for you to go on to the website to log in your comment about which alignment you would like to see. Vehicle speeding on the entire length of Haines Bayshore has increased tremendously over the past year. Would it be possible to have law enforcement address this problem, but before a decision is made to use Haines Bayshore as part of the trail? Tom?
Yep, absolutely. This is something that we've had on our radar. We knew that we had the sidewalk project that was under construction, and typically what happens after a project like that is we give traffic a chance to get back to normal, and then we'll get out there. But we've had a plan to do some vehicle counts, some vehicle speeds, and to address what may be going on out there on Haines Bayshore. That's been on our radar.
Thank you. Thank you. The next one is a comment. The electric shocks that are a liability for the county building a trail with the awareness that this can happen. Please do the trail on 3D on US 19. So let's see, next question. Although the impact survey from 2011 stated that Pinellas Trail has the same crime rate as the rest of the county, the area located at alignment 3A and 3B currently has a 0 crime rate, as it is gated off with no access currently. So therefore the crime rate in the area will increase. Has this been considered? Tom?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. And again, we're aware of the sensitivity and the concerns that come along with building the trail in the easement. I think as Kelly mentioned from the beginning, we've had 30 years of experience, and there's a good portion of our trail that's within a CSX easement or a Duke Energy easement. So we're very sensitive to the concerns. We've got the park rangers that help to mitigate that. But yes, the crime and the concerns with the vagrancy and the people that may not be there when they shouldn't be there is something that we take into consideration very strongly.
Thank you. There also could be additional trash on Whitney, which could end up in the waterway that protects our neighborhoods from flooding. What is the plan for trash, parking, safety to cross Wolford? It makes no sense. The shortest distance is a straight line. Tom, can you add something about the plan for trash, parking, and safety on Wolford?
Sure. I believe the alignments take the trail, if those are one of the alignments chosen, to the intersection of Whitney and Wolford. So as I said, we've got a plan right now to increase the safety at that intersection by making it a multi-way stop, tightening up the turns a little bit, which should reduce the speeds, at least at that intersection. Sidewalks, again, we're limited somewhat with the right-of-way that we have. So, there would be considerations for skinnying those up. Most of that's residential until you get down to like US 19. But again, if there are areas where we know we've got some public property that we can use for parking, we certainly will. The trash will be something that we'll have to deal with again if we find that there are areas of concentration where it just seems to be a problem. It'll be the county's responsibility to make sure that we service that on a more regular basis.
Okay. Thank you. US 19 has many empty buildings and businesses. If they are developed in the future, could they block the construction of the trail along US 19? Matt.
Okay. So I mean, once we purchase an easement or from the property owner, if the building changes to different hands, that easement was still part of what they would purchase. So in that respect, if it does get developed and we did go that route, we would still be able to build the trail in those locations.
Thank you. I purchased my home on Levine Lane. I was assured by both the buying and the selling agents that nothing could ever be built behind my home as far as public access. If 3A or 3B is chosen, do I have any recourse? Tom?
As far as going back to your realtor, I really don't know what recourse you might have in that respect. Not in a position to offer any kind of legal advice in that respect.
Okay, thank you. What kind of height difference would this trail be built in regards to Allendale Drive, as Allendale currently has a flood problem? If this trail is built higher than Allendale, the water will then flood more into Allendale. Matt?
Yeah. So if we did go with that alternative, that's one thing that we would have to show and prove, is that we are not adding or making any additional flooding issues out there. So we would have some type of conveyance system to collect the water from that would come off the trail and move it to a location. So we wouldn't have that issue where would be more flooding, or we just wouldn't build it.
Okay, thank you. The sidewalk already exists on the frontage road along US 19. Since residents don't want intrusion into any neighborhood, why not go with 3C, especially since the trail north of Haynes Bay Shore is west of US 19? Casey?
On the trail, the sidewalk on US 19 right now is about maybe 5 feet. So the trail requires a minimum of 8 feet. So when we look at this, there were some power lines, and in some areas there were hardly 8 feet of right of way. So I think that we might need some additional right of way or easement, and all those utilities, the big power poles would have to go underground, and all those utilities that was on the site, that's going to be quite costly, and that's what we were looking at. The 5 foot sidewalk could not qualify as a trail, so to speak.
Thank you. You say the trail's closed at night. That does not mean that all will follow the law. So what happens at night when we have them hanging out on the trail? Tom?
The best recourse, again, when we are made aware that there are recurring issues in a particular area, law enforcement is very good at providing directed patrols and making sure that they're out there on a more regular basis to eliminate the problem. And I would say what we're going to be looking for, what I would suggest is anybody who sees that activity reported either to the sheriff's office or to the county so that it can be addressed before it gets out of control.
Thank you. Does the trail need to be built? If so, what if you use the other side of US 19 where there are less houses and there is a Duke Tower? Tom?
Sure. Well, again, we've had the trail in place for 30 years. We've had a plan to create a loop. It's a 75-mile loop, and we're down to two remaining segments. For this particular area, we know what our two endpoints are, and that's up at US 19 and Haynes Bayshore, and then down at basically 126 in Ulmerton. So we know what our two endpoints are. The question is, how do we get from point A to point B? And so we're looking at various alternatives.
Okay, thank
And
you.
I know we do have sections of the trail that are west of US 19. So again, this is just an opportunity to provide it to areas that don't currently enjoy the benefit of access to a trail.
Thank you. So if there are people riding the trail at night and you're concerned about their intentions, like possible drug deals, what do? Contact county sheriffs or the Largo police, or what? I live on Allendale Drive, which is split between the county and the city of Largo. Tom, will you answer this question?
Sure. I would suggest that you start with the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. If it's not their jurisdiction, all of the police departments within the county are connected. They do a very good job of coordinating with each other. And if there's somebody in danger or some illegal activity going on, the experience has been that whoever can respond the quickest is the department that will respond.
Excellent, thank you. On the west side of the trail, there are long stretches along the tracks where fences were put up. Why are you saying that it may not be in your budget? It was in the past. Tom?
Yeah, I would say that the fences are probably or were most likely installed by the private property owners. The county historically has not installed fences as part of or noise barriers as part of construction projects.
Okay, thank you. You have proposed several options that appear to require additional costs. How would you justify to we taxpayers that going a distance 3 times longer, as was mentioned, makes sense? Tom?
Sure. Well, again, we're looking to get from point A to point B, so we're looking at several viable alternatives. Some of those take us through easements. Some of us take us along the roadways. We've done our best to identify what we see as the advantages and disadvantages of each. Really, the purpose for tonight is to present those and to seek your feedback. So, yes, we do understand that cost is one of those factors, but it's not the only factor when we're talking about the amenity of the Pinellas Trail and all the good things that it brings to Pinellas County.
Okay, thank you. As a fairly new resident to the area, I would like to attend the Board of Commission meeting when the project is presented. Is it open to the public? Yes, the meetings are open to the public. Right now, they are actually a hybrid where you can join virtually, just like you are now, but they are also open to the public well, right now it's in the Magnolia Room, but it is presented ahead of time so you know where it'll be at. Tom, do you have anything to add to that?
Nope, I think you've covered it. There's each of our commission meetings has a section for public comments, and then when the item is on the agenda, you can sign up to speak specifically to that item as well.
Okay, thank you. If users are mostly people in the area, please take in consideration that the community doesn't seem to be happy about having the trail on 3A and 3B. Thank you for your comment, and make sure you put your comments in the survey too. Next question. What is the push to extend the trail when it seems there is a significant current trail available and also significant opposition to extend the trail in the area of alignment 3? Tom?
Sure. I wouldn't say there's a push. What we mentioned at the beginning is that we did get a grant for this section of the trail. We've been pretty successful in the past at receiving trail grants from either the DOT or from others. Also, as mentioned, this is part of a 75-mile loop, and we've got 2 segments left. This is 4 miles out of that 75 miles, and the other segment is currently under construction. So, we're looking 4 or 5, maybe 6 years from now, depending on what alignment is chosen and what the costs are. But, the goal from the beginning has been, to complete this loop. And, it's been a 36 year effort that the county has undertaken. So that's been our vision from the beginning.
Thank you. Do you notice the trend in those questions that homeowners on Cardinal Levine and Dodge Circle consider 3A and 3B a huge invasion of privacy and a large security issue? We do notice all of the questions that are coming in like that. And please go to the survey and voice your opinion there so that the commission will know as well. Who would be notified if there were persistent problems? The police, the sheriff's office, someone on this committee? Tom, I think that you've already answered this question, but did you have anything else to add about persistent problems?
Sure, I would say, depending on what the problem is, certainly if it's law, a law enforcement issue, then that's the sheriff's office or the police. If it's other issues, erosion or mowing or some type of other issue on the trail, flooding, that would come to the county and we would direct it as appropriate. Any concerns about the trail, regardless, can be directed to the county, and we would direct that as appropriate as well.
Okay, thank you. The next question is about the process of getting input on the plans before the occurrence of this meeting. How were folks identified as stakeholders? It sounds like folks who would be affected by 3A and 3B were contacted before this meeting. Were residents who would be affected by 3D also contacted? Casey, can you tell us a little bit about who was contacted before this meeting?
I'm not aware of anybody that was contacted. The first time we generated the list was we took the entire block from Wolford all the way to 19 and Whitney all the way to Haynes Bayshore. We took the whole block, and there were some people that call in and voice their concern and things like that. I basically we discuss things and say, we are aware of the drainage problems. So those kind of things that we will consider definitely during design. So we, like I said, that whole block has all 4 alignments, all 4 alternatives. So it's kind of hard to live in the middle of, because we just want to take the whole area that enclose those 4 alternatives.
Thank you, Casey. And kind of follow up with that, not only this, the people in that section 3 were contacted, everybody along all of the alignments were contacted about the project from the mailing that was sent out prior to this meeting, so that you could participate in this meeting, learn a little bit more about the alternatives that we have, and then also ultimately put your decision into the survey that'll be on there so that we can present everything to the commission. Thank you. There appears to be a lot of things on our radar. These items seem to require additional time to process and review prior to making a decision. Is this decision a bit rushed? Tom?
Actually, I would say we're right where we need to be in this process. We've done some preliminary work. We have identified some preliminary alternatives. This is the appropriate time to have this first conversation with the public, let you know what our thoughts are, let you know what we've identified as concerns, as potential roadblocks, and to seek more input. Again, this is the first of many times that you'll hear from us about this project. So I think we're right where we need to be. This is a very comprehensive public engagement. This isn't the only time you're going to hear about this project, and we're not expecting to come out of this meeting tonight with a decision one way or the other about an alignment.
Okay. Thank you. Will we be able to access the PowerPoint from the beginning of the meeting? And the answer to that is yes. That probably tomorrow. It does take us a little while to get the recording down and put it on the website, but the entire PowerPoint, this entire meeting will be on the website. Anybody have anything else to add? No, okay. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, it will take a few days. It'll take it, early next week, we'll probably have the PowerPoint up, but you will have access to it. There is some information now on the website if you need to know anything. If you take possible crime seriously, then you will give us our barriers. If not, then you either don't care or don't have the funds. If you don't have the funds, maybe you shouldn't complete it at this time. So thank you for your comment. Make sure you add it into the survey. Please keep in mind, we have a major problem with homelessness and unscrupulous people in the Alignment 3 area due to our close proximity to the Safe Harbor Homeless Center, Roadway Inn, and Diamond Dolls. I am very concerned with the close proximity of the trail giving direct access to the rear of the Clearwater Central Catholic High School in the 3A and 3B alignment. Thank you for your comment. The trail requires 8 feet. There's no way to use Whitney. Matt, can you talk about the width of the trail?
Sure, Joan. So like in those areas, there it is very tight, the right of way, and we have those those large ditches. So the only way we would do that is we'd have to go ahead and pipe those ditches and do some shallow swales to accommodate that 8-foot trail in those locations. And again, then we'd have floodplain. So it is a big undertaking, and it's a very expensive alternative if we do decide to go that route.
Okay, thank you. I suggest that if you would like to get some idea of the impact of trash on the trail, you tour the area near Allen's Creek and the trail along US 19. It is literally covered in trash and goes directly into Old Tampa Bay. This trash comes off the backs of the trucks on US 19. So thank you for that comment. Local residents' support for 3A and 3B seems to be overwhelmingly negative during this webcast. As you've stated, it's mostly local residents who would utilize this segment of the trail. How does that factor into your decision making? Tom?
Well, again, the reason we're here tonight is to solicit this input. So I think, we're hearing loud and clear what some of the concerns are. We're going to take that back and consider that. All of the comments, and responses will be up on our website. And, again, all of these considerations will factor into the decision and the recommendations that we ultimately make and that are, presented to the Board of County Commissioners.
Excellent, thank you. And also to add to that, any of the comments that actually get put into the open Pinellas survey actually become part of the formal record of this project. So it is important for you to go ahead and take that extra time to put in what you would like. It seems like there's a desire to complete a goal of 75 miles of trail. Yay. If it is clear that the residents of the area of new projected trails are not in favor of it, and would prefer to not have access to the trail, is there any chance you would consider scrapping this plan to extend it? Tom?
Well, like I said, this has been 30 years in the making. You're absolutely right. We've had this goal to complete this loop. We know what our two endpoints are. And so the question is, how do we get from point A to point B? If there are other ideas, that you have, certainly, let's, we want to hear them. That's why we're here. We've come up with what we believe are several viable, feasible alternatives, but if there's others that we may not have considered, again, we recognize that we don't live in the area. The people that we're talking to tonight are the ones that are there 24/7 and know the area better than we do.
Okay. And Tom, there's a question that's coming up that's almost like this one, but they also asked, can the county refuse the grant money at this point if we choose not to build?
I'm not exactly sure what the ramifications are. Seeing as how we're the agency that actually submitted for the grant, I'm not sure what the ramifications are if we were to then turn around and say thanks, but no thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next question is, with the potential increase in crime along 3A and 3B, I'm concerned about our home values. Has that been taken into account when compared to the US 19 alternative where home values would not be a factor? Tom?
Let me see here.
To the top question.
Yeah, I'm not sure I have too much to add, other than, again, we're looking at several alternatives. If these are factors that should be considered, I would encourage you to make sure that you go to the website, fill out the comment form, and make sure this becomes part of our public record.
Excellent, thank you. Many of us are really looking forward to the extension of the trail. We have waited a long time. Is the completion of the project more important than the community satisfaction? Again, that is something that definitely go ahead and put your comment in on the website. I'm really looking forward to having the trail nearby. I live close to the alignment 1A, and there's a big problem with pedestrians walking through that unsafe and unlit area, especially near the propane company and the aviation academy. The trail will be a safe alternative. Okay. Thank you. Here's another comment. Thank you very much for providing this opportunity. Although there is considerable strong emotion and opposition on tonight's call, I am sure that we can all agree that we appreciate you as individuals and taking your time and giving your energy to hear our concerns, take them into account, and provide us information. Thank you. Only 2 people on Dodge Circle got notified about this meeting by mail. Hopefully the construction of the trail will go smoother. I believe we sent letters out to all occupants, not just property owners, so I'm not quite sure about that one. Does anybody have anything to add?
Yeah, John, we pull the occupants, list, and also we pull the homeowners list. And I can answer how some of them did not receive their mail. We sent out over 2,500 mails. So I can go back and check, in specific if anybody has any, concern. But we're going to try to do a better job. Sometimes, you try to merge all this together. Some of them may get missed. Next time, I'll probably, in the next call round, I'll probably just send out more. Make sure we get a broader area and everybody is covered,
Maybe we can find out who did not get those letters,
right.
So we can find out the reason why behind, and that we will make sure that when it does go to construction that we would have those. So thank you.
yes, we do inform them, of construction, and when we get to further development of the design, we will keep everybody informed. And please call my number right there at the website. I'd like to know about it. I'm kind of.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Well, whatever is decided, when will we see the trail and when can we ride on it? Tom.
Well, let's see. I think we're looking right now at about hopefully 2 years for design, and then construction to start immediately after that with about a 2-year construction schedule. I think that's what we've presented tonight. Is that correct, Matt?
That's correct, Tom.
Thank you. Is it okay to spread the word about the survey with any of my neighbors? Yes, please do. Tell anybody in the area, because we do want everyone to have their voice heard. So thank you. There are many trail users eager to have the full loop completed. We have lots of tourists coming to Pinellas County, primarily because of the Pinellas Trail. Thank you for pushing this forward. Okay? Thank you. I live along Allendale. Contrary to what was mentioned, I was not contacted about this change. A neighbor mentioned it to me. What can I do to ensure we remain informed of this process? Okay, to make sure, I would go to the website, pinellascounty.org/South Gap, and there's a place where it says contact us. There's an email, there's a phone number, there's even an address if you want to send by mail. But you can talk to Casey Lem, and he'll make sure that you are added to the list. So please do. How would the committee members in attendance today feel about this trail being built behind their house, assuming a severe homeless problem in the area? I don't think that I can answer that question. Tom?
Sure, I'll take a shot at it. I would say that I know we've had a lot of comments tonight about property values and about crime and vagrancy. We will be posting some information on our website. We've done the research on other segments of the trail, so we've got the research that shows the impact on property values, and it's actually opposite of what we're hearing tonight. The property values actually are a little bit higher, as your properties, as you decide to sell them and move off. We actually have people coming to the area that know about the trail. In some cases, that's the reason they're coming to Pinellas County, and they're actually seeking to live as close to the trail as possible. And the opportunity to live right adjacent to it becomes a very attractive amenity for several people. But we'll have that information posted on our website for you.
Okay. Thank you. Just for your information about the mailings on Dodge Circle, I spoke with my neighbors and some never got the notice about the meeting. I called in and informed them about this, and I gave out copies to them. Thank you very much for doing that extra effort for your community. But we still would like to know who they are so that we make sure that future notices will go out to you. And by the way, anybody that has signed on to tonight's meeting, we do have your email. So we could pass out information to you through the email that you gave to us now. Thank you, Matt. Your responses are the voice of reason. Local residents already walk on the streets with sidewalks and side streets that connect to Haynes Bayshore. So this is not for the local residents. Okay, thank you. Maybe it's been ongoing for 30 years because in the past, the goal of completion the goal of completion just wasn't popular just like now. Okay, thank you. There will be increased crime along the trail area along phase 2, segment 1 and 2. There are issues with vagrants due to the drug rehab on the corner of 62nd Street North and 150th Avenue. I think it's important that this is recognized. We already have issues with impaired individuals without potential increase due to the trail. Thank you. We have a petition that was signed by the residents of Allendale, Cardinal, Dodge Circle, and a few from Levine Lane that we submitted to the county a few years back. We feel that it should be recognized. It was signed by more than 70 residents. You also have a copy. We wanted drainage and walls to seal off our neighborhoods. Okay, thank you. I am not aware of the signatures. Tom, do you know that? Because we would like to make sure we have a copy of that.
Yeah, I'm not aware that there was a petition that was submitted, but again, we would like to have a copy of that. We'd like to know what the opinions are. Absolutely.
Yes. So if it's possible, if you contact at ptsg@pinellescounty.org, that's the email for the Pinellas Trail South Gap, and send us that petition, and we'll make sure that that is also included in the official record. Has a raised platform along US 19 been considered? Matt.
Well, part of the issue is that along US 19, if we went with the, I guess my understanding from the question is that, we would look at maybe doing a pedestrian structure over US 19. With all the driveways and stuff, I think that would be probably cost prohibited to do something like that along that right of way.
Okay, thank you. I have quite a few questions here, or not questions, but comments about not receiving letters or thinking that it might have been junk mail. We do thank the neighbors that passed on the information about this meeting. If you know of neighbors that weren't able to attend the meeting, didn't know about the meeting, the whole meeting will be on the website so you can view it afterwards. We do ask that any of your comments that you have be put in the official record by going to the Open Pinellas survey. So please share this information with all of your neighbors so that they can also have their voice heard. True. Although in strong disagreement about this addition on 3A and 3B, I appreciate all your work. Tom, I appreciate your acknowledgement that your committee members do not live there. So thank you. The suggestion for mitigating the fact that this has been a plan for 36 years of having the trail being 75 miles is simply to change the 36-year plan. Plans made 36 years ago must change with the times. The trail can simply not be extended and now only be 70 miles. Is this not an option at all? Tom, I think you've already answered that question, but you want to reinforce it?
Sure. I think if you look at a map of what the Pinellas Trail is, there's always been a goal to have a loop around the county. And we've done well over the years to continue to build along that and to keep that vision at the forefront of our trail plans. So now we're down to the last two segments to complete this. In addition to that, there have been several spurs that have fed off of this. So, it's grown and it'll continue to grow. And, but again, that vision is to complete that loop and to give somebody, the opportunity to basically travel completely around the county on a multi-use trail.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this opportunity to learn more. The only mitigating impact report I found addressing property values and crime on the Pinellas Trail was conducted in 2011, well before many of the crime reports on the trail starting in about 2013. What is the most recent impact study and how exactly can we access it, please? I believe that the 2011 report is the last one that was done. There has been talk from the Forward Pinellas, which is the MPO of this group of Pinellas County, to possibly update it, but I have not heard of any updates since that 2011. Tom, have you heard of any update to the impact report?
no comprehensive update. I know when we were looking at the north loop, we did some more investigation or reached out to some of the realtors in the area, but I don't think we've had a comprehensive update since that report that is referenced.
Okay, thank you. How many times a night would a hypothetical 3A and 3B be patrolled by law enforcement? I think that would be up to the different law enforcements in the area. I don't think that we have any control over that. Tom, do you have anything to add?
No, but I would say that if this is one of the alignments that's chosen, I would say initially upon opening, it's going to get a little bit more attention, just to make sure that all the rules are being followed. And again, if there's any concentrated activity that the residents notice that, that we're made aware of or law enforcement is made aware of, obviously, the goal is safety and law enforcement will take the appropriate action.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have two more questions that were typed in, and then we're going to go to those that have called in. So here's one of the last two. I have the original petition. Where do I drop another copy off for you? I want to deliver it personally. Okay, the location to drop it off and is KC is your address, correct?
Yes.
Is your building open at this time, or would it be better to wait until June 1st when we officially open all buildings?
I think they are able to drop it off. Right now it's open.
Okay, thank you. Then the location that you'll want to drop it off is in the website under pinellescounty.org/South Gap. Contact us. But the address is 14 South Fort Harrison Avenue, the 6th floor. It's Clearwater, Florida. And just to be sure, I'll give you a phone number. This is Casey's phone number, 727-464-5662. So thank you. Okay.
It'd be better to contact me ahead of time so we can make arrangements.
Exactly. That's good.
To do that. Yep.
Thank you. Okay, last question to be answered from those that typed in. Are you aware of the space available on the west side of US 19 between Bel Air and Whitney? It can close the loop and not upset so many community members. Tom, would you like to answer that question?
Yeah, we're aware of what we have west of US 19, but I'd also say that US 19 is a major impediment and barrier to to anybody that wants to get from one side to the other. So right now we've got, a trail width and a trail alignment that crosses under US 19 at Bel Air and comes down to Haynes Bay Shore. And again, that's our starting point. To keep everything on the west side of US 19 in this area would really make it so that, the residents that we're looking to accommodate here on the east side, basically wouldn't have any of the amenities of the Pinellas Trail.
Okay. Thank you. So at this time, we're going to take the questions from or the comments from anybody who's called in. Again, if you've joined by phone and would like to ask a question, press *9 on your keypad. And it looks like we have one person that has already raised their hand, that's already called in. Tony, is that correct?
That's correct. And the caller with the last number is 2428. I just, you need to unmute yourself and then you can speak, please.
Caller 2428, if you could unmute your phone, please, then you will be able to ask your question or make your comment.
Hello, thank you for your time. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you fine. Thank you, sir.
Good deal. Thank you very much. I spoke to a lot of the residents, and I'm a homeowner myself on Dodge Circle. 3A and 3B, you've heard it quite a bit tonight in this group chat. The homeowners bought our houses with the understanding that the property behind us would not be able to be built or utilized in any way. it was a key factor in us building our houses here. The invasion of privacy that we feel is just unreal. We are excited. We understand what the closing of the loop signifies, but having a possibility of having a trail in our backyard, especially one that does not have a fence for security, it just feels very insultive that this could happen. The homeless situation around here in the last 2 years has exploded. There are a lot of buildings on 19 that are empty and vacant, and the homeless people congregate here on a daily basis. And the fact that the trail would be closed at night and therefore no one would be using the trail behind our houses at night, it just does not make sense at all. It's common sense tells you that vagrants, people without a home, are going to be using this trail. And they already are, by the way. Where 3A and 3B would hypothetically be, there are already homeless camps. Right now, as we speak, homeless people are living in the woods, and it would just multiply the situation to a greater extent. Currently, right now on Wolford Road, there is no sidewalk. So if the trail was put on Wolford Road, two things would be happening at the same time. The loop would be completed, and there would be a much needed sidewalk for pedestrian safety. That is all that I wanted to say. Thank you very much. And by the way, hardly anyone got any sort of mail regarding this meeting today. So just want to reiterate that.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate your comments, and we will definitely look into the mailing aspect of that. So thank you. Are there any other callers that would like to make a comment or a question at this time? I don't see any. Tony, do you?
Joan, no, but we have a raised hand in the Zoom from Margaret Rogan. Margaret,
Okay.
if you'd like to speak, unmute yourself and you should be able to talk.
Hello.
Hello, we can hear you. Thank you.
Okay. This is Margaret Rogan, but I already asked my question. I guess maybe I hit the raised hand, so I do not have another question.
Okay,
I was just the one who wanted the speeding on Haynes Bay Shore. I just don't want to repeat what's happened along the trail in the last week up in northern part of the county. It's out of control, and we've been trying to get police officers down here, law enforcement, to somehow regulate or stop it. We walk that part of the beginning part of the trail all the way down Haynes Bay Shore, and you really have to keep your eye on the cars coming and going because it's out of control. So real important that we get, I know he said he was on it, that it's on the radar, but it is something that I would really like them to take a look at as soon as possible.
Thank you very much for your comments, and
right.
Thank you for typing them in as well. So
Okay, thank you.
Okay, it looks like we have another caller that's calling in. Tony?
Let's see. I've got 5047. If you would unmute yourself, you can go ahead and make your comment.
Could you hear me?
Yes,
We can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, great. Hi, my name is Joe. Tom, how you doing? I'm on Cardinal Drive.
Okay.
My big concern is that I have a very unique property, almost 3 acres here, and unincorporated in most of the property. We've done a bunch of work on Cardinal Drive as far as because of the flooding issues that we've had from the retention pond that's in the back that hasn't been cleaned in 10 years. I actually have a mini lawsuit with Autoway right now on it, and supposedly they're going to be working on it. That's what they said 8 months ago, so we'll see what happens. My biggest concern is that if the trail did come down Cardinal Drive, it would destroy my property that I've built up for years. It's been in our family for, I don't know, 40 years.
Okay.
So my biggest concern is like, how would it even work going down my street, Cardinal Drive, going to the back there? And then my whole property is exposed to a trail that's people are going to be going right by my street, by my dead end street here.
Okay. Tom, would you like to? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
No, go ahead, Tom.
I would say that was just one option that we're looking at. As we're getting close to Haynes Bay Shore, we can either continue along the alignment, or we can go up Cardinal. Again, if that made more sense, it was one of the alternatives that we did, again, at least upon our initial investigation, considered to be, feasible, at least worth discussing at this point in the process.
So
Okay.
please,
I appreciate your feedback.
Well, the thing is, for me, I've spent tens of thousands of dollars to get rid of the water situation, the flooding. My house has been underwater, and that for a trail to come down the road here and expose everything that I have here, it would be devastating for me and my family. And I have daughters, I have kids, and to have this open access to the public like this would just be it would be terrible. I mean, I would have never taken over the property if I would have known about the trail, at all, if there was even an inkling of the trail going down this road. Because, like I said, Tom, you've been down here, and that this is a very unique property. To expose it to a trail, I cannot see how it would increase my value, and I can only see how it could increase the crime rate with all the equipment that I have here on this property. So for me, it would be devastating for the trail to come down here.
thank you. Thank you very much for calling in, voicing your opinion. Please also go to the website so that all can be put into the formal record, just so that the commission knows all of the concerns of the neighborhood. So thank you very much. Tony, it looks like we have one more raised hand. You are muted, Tony.
Sorry about that. Yes, we have a raised hand from Vince Lombardi. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Vince, and you can speak.
Mr. Lombardi, you'll have to unmute yourself.
I have unmuted.
Thank
Can
you. We
you
can
hear
hear
me
you
now?
now. We can hear you
Okay.
now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. My main concern would be with the trail coming up behind our homes on Dodge Circle. You say you don't put up fences. I feel if we're going to be forced to have this trail behind our house, I feel the county should oblige us and put up a fence on both sides of that trail. We do not need people coming into our properties at night. I know you keep saying the trail's closed at night. That doesn't keep people that want to break the law from using that trail to get into the back of our yards and come over our little fences that we have up. We have, in some areas, some palm trees, okay? They come through them trees and get into the yards and start breaking into homes. Somebody's going to get hurt. My question is, who's going to be responsible for the homeowners getting hurt, or God forbid, if the homeowner hurts one of these people? We want the fences up by the county if the trail goes through.
Okay.
And I think that's a legitimate request if we're going to be forced to have that trail in our backyards. You don't live here, we do.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Lombardi. We didn't say that fences won't be considered, but we will take note of your
Not considered,
request.
we want the fence.
Yeah.
You're going to force a trail on us. We want the fence. We signed a petition 2 years ago saying no trail. The petition wasn't honored. Now we're saying to you, you're forcing this on us. Your minds are made up. I see that in the plans, okay? Now we're saying to you, we want the fence.
Thank you. At this time, the alignment hasn't been selected, but for that alignment, we will make sure that it's known that the residents along there are demanding fences.
Yes, we are. And I'm sorry if I seem upset about this. We have small children in the area. We all have our homes. And I'm, for one, I don't need my home broken into. We've already had some trouble with the homeless in this area, and we don't need no more. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. And
Okay,
please, everybody.
have a good weekend.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. And please, everybody, remember to go to the Open Pinellas survey that's online so that all of your information will be down there. And at this time, I don't see any more raised hands. So I'm going to turn it back to Tony.
Thanks, Joan. Thanks, Tom, Casey, and Matt. For anybody who joined us late, we've been discussing the Pinellas Trail South Gap alignment development process. As Tom mentioned, we are very early in the public engagement process on this. You'll be able to watch the full meeting, including the presentation on the project website within a few days. Casey mentioned earlier on that some of the comparison matrices in the presentation were cut off at the bottom. So in addition to the recording, we're going to post the full PowerPoint on the website. The next and very important step in this process, as Joan said, is to capture your feedback through our Open Pinellas online survey. This will be the official record of our, for this round of public engagement. The survey is open now through a link on the project website and will remain open through June 12th. When you click on the survey link from the project website, it will take you to the Open Pinellas platform. From there, you'll see the Pinellas Trail South Gap survey near the top of the open topics list. You'll be asked to register, and then you'll be able to access the questions and an open suggestion box. It's a simple survey that can be completed in just a few minutes, and your feedback will help us make the best possible decisions for the community. If you have questions about either the survey or the project, you can send an email to ptsg@pinellascounty.org, or you can call KC at 727-464-5662. For anybody listening and not able to see the slide, again, that's 727-464-5662. Once again, the survey is for your comments and feedback, and the contact information is for questions. Thank you again for joining us tonight. We hope this has been an informative meeting and that you'll complete the survey and encourage your neighbors to do so as well. Good night, everyone.